I'm Andrew Coper. I'm the founder of moregetsdone.com. It's an easy-to-use cloud-based web application that allows people to get more done, groups of people to be more effective, and businesses to be more efficient and profitable. A lot of my presentation today is going to be just demoing the app because the app is made. In a nutshell, what you do is create tasks, identify the task, who's going to do them. That person marks it as finished when they're done. And then people create projects, composed of many tasks. And these are all recorded so that metrics are automatically created about who's doing what. This is the application, More Gets Done. I think one of the differentiators, there's a lot of project management applications out there, but I think one of the differentiators with this is I've designed it to make it be really clear and easy to use. You'll see a lot of marketing stuff on most Trello or Monday.com's homepage, and I just really try to make something that's hits you over the head and simple that everyone can be effective with right away. This bar chart is an example of the kind of metrics that get created. I'm scrolling through the homepage again here. These are examples of business process templates. If you've worked in a business, you realize that a lot of businesses do the same things over and over. So, you know, if a new employee is hired, it's the same onboarding process, the same steps. If the business has to reconcile its books every quarter, those same steps need to be done. You might have the same product development cycle. So these are some templates that exist of things that businesses often do to save work, to save thinking that you can incorporate into your workflow. Here are some project templates. Planning a wedding is probably the perfect example. Someone's going to get married. You have to do these same steps. You're working with other people. You need to coordinate what's going to get done, who's going to do it. So these are some project templates that are already made. Again, saving you thinking, saving you work. One of the really neat features I think about this is most tasks and projects are private by default. You're assigning them to somebody or they're within your organization. But one of the features when you create a task with this is it can be made public. And so anyone can take it. It's out there. And so you can assign tasks by locations, tasks by skill, tasks by cause, like rescue dogs or child welfare, anything like that. And so you can put these out there, and you can take advantage of crowdsourcing. People who want to do something where they live to make it better, people who care about a cause, they want to volunteer, they might get involved. And this isn't just like general discussions like a message board or Slack or something like that. These are tasks of work. An example, I'm using it myself. Here are More Gets Done's public tasks that anyone can take involving like social media and researching lists if they want to volunteer with an internet startup. I've created an account. I'm going to log in. I am using it to run More Gets Done. This is an example of my open tasks. So this table of things get done. Here's an example of the create task form. Here's a table of tasks given to others that are still open. Here is an example of some closed tasks. I'm not in an organization right now. I'm going to go into my company. So these are, I think, really one of the powerful features. These are, you can keep track of everything that everyone in the organization has done. You can keep track of what tasks people have done individually. One of the features is the owner of the organization or the company can define, or the group can define the mission statement. What's most important? What are we all working towards? Also, 5 metrics or 5 measures of that. And then you can do some really easy strategic planning where you define how much are we doing now, how much do we want to do in next year and the year after that. And this is graphically displayed. There's, again, lots of metrics, lots of charts, lots of visualizations of what the organization is doing, what people are doing. So these are my goals with More Gets Done. And so everyone can focus their work. They can assign tasks and projects and processes to what's most important, and everyone's working on what's most important. Here's the org member page. Here's people in this organization. Example of open projects, create processes, create projects. Things can be made recurring and automatically put in people's workflow. If books have to be reconciled at the end of every month, that's there. If something has to be filed December 1st of every year, that can just automatically be put in people's workflow. Here's where you add users to the application. Here's where you can quickly and simply create another organization. Here's going back to what I said about most tasks by default are private, but they can also be made public. These are where you can create tasks by and assign them to a location like Detroit or your neighborhood or a cause, animal welfare or whatever, and people can take them. One of the ideas I had, and I'm experimenting with this, is like a top 25 list. It's a really fascinating idea that I hope takes off. That, like in a high school class, people will like to be the best, or they care about their ranking, perhaps if they're a high school student, like what's their grade point, where do they fit into the thing, or college football, who's ranked in the top 25, who's number one. So if you could see like who's closed the most, dog welfare, strays, tasks in your neighborhood or your city, you might care about that, and you might care that the community's seen that you've done 25 things this year, or you've done 35 things. So I'm really, I think this is kind of experiment that I think could be really interesting to just people like, oh, I want to see that I've done a lot of things with this cause, or I've done a lot of things in my community. And so an analogy I think of is, think of your calendar. Like I use Microsoft Outlook calendar for my my work, and I use Google Calendar for my personal stuff. And imagine you didn't use your calendar. Imagine you kept track of everything in your head. I think a lot of work is like that. People keep track of things in their head. They communicate things with email. But if you have your upcoming events on a calendar, if it's graphically displayed and keeps track of that for you, this is like that for works and for organizations and for processes and people getting together. Things are just defined. Things are communicated clearly. Everything is visual. Everything is really, and so I think you can get rid of middle managers who just communicate things, and people can get more done. Truism that I think is definitely true is people do what's measured. So if someone sees, well, it's public that I did 12 of these last month, I'm going to try and do 14 of these this month. Or if you have these process templates, they can be saved as and reused. They can be reused, saving and reinventing the wheel, and they can be saved as. People can apply their domain knowledge to make things better. So these are just, I call this a framework for doing work, and it's just designed to allow groups of people to do things more efficiently together. And the payoff when you have your organization's group work just clearly defined calendars and yearly charts, is I think people will be 20% more efficient. And what that means is if you have a company with a $10 million a year budget, that means you employ about 125 people, and people are the most important resource and the biggest expense for companies. So you have a payroll of about $7 million. That's your people costs. And if your people are 20% more efficient, you're saving $1.4 million a year. And if you have a company with $100 million budget, you probably have about 1,200 workers. And if they are 70% of your budget, you're spending about $70 million a year on your people, on your people resources. And so if those people are 20% more efficient, that's a $14 million a year saving. So this is the power and the value and the magic of moregetsdone.com.
Anyone has any questions?
So what does moregetsdone.com do